It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry Podcast. On this, the 16th day of May, 2025, coming to you from Bedford County, Virginia, Central Virginia area near Lynchburg. Brought to you by Will U.S., the owner of Scoot Around, and by Chillie's Cruises. Again, another day with not a whole bunch of news, but a couple stories. The lead story today, cruise passengers caught smuggling cigarettes into California. Also this morning, the MSC Meraviglia parked in Portland. Carnival Paradise rescues 5 of 16. Flooding on the Conquest. A second arrest in the Virtuosa death. And an elderly couple arrested for a stolen ring. That and lots more. Here at 11 o'clock this morning, it seems more and more like all I'm doing is crime stuff lately. Unbelievable. But I just take it the way it comes. All right. Yesterday was a okay day for me. I got fitted out in a heart monitor. I have a heart monitor for the next 2 weeks. And if I get out of breath, or if I have any pains, or if I have this, and if I have that, I have to punch the monitor so it records. And then I have to fill out a log. It's a rather much of a pain in the you-know-what. But anyway, that's going to be for the next 2 weeks. Apparently, the heart and the lungs aren't firing like they're supposed to. I don't know. I'm really not sure why. I just follow along and say, okay, here, I'm your dummy. Just go ahead and do whatever it is you want to do. Anyway, got the monitor put on yesterday. That part of it went smooth. The lady that helped me with it was awesome. She was just awesome. She got mad because I was there in the rain day. I was there to have the echo done. And she said, well, why didn't they just give you the monitor that day? Not make you come back 2 days later? Well, I said, well, I don't know. It's your outfit, not mine. But anyway, I liked her a lot. So, then I was supposed to go to the dentist. Well, they called and says, can you cancel today and we'll make it tomorrow afternoon. So I got to go to the dentist this afternoon that I was supposed to go to a couple days ago. So right after I get off the air, I'll go in and get cleaned up and get dressed for a dental visit for a couple hours of torture. All right. So other than that, there's not a whole lot of news in my life. I'm feeling better. I'm still coughing. I'm liable to take off on a coughing fit. Here we go. But I don't feel bad, guys. It's just I'm still weak. Probably going to be weak for a while. And if we could ever get this business taken care of, that would be nice, and I could get over it. Why is it doing that? Yeah, that looks better. I don't know why I was given a second camera. I'm assuming that everybody can hear me. Yes, it appears that way. All right. So we go to the dentist this afternoon, and I got nothing this weekend. I'm not probably not going anywhere. Probably not going outside even. Although I'd love to get out if it's warm. But now with this monitor, I've also got to watch. I can't get it wet, and I can't sweat. I can't take a shower. I've got to go through all kinds of shenanigans to get a shower. It's just going to be a pain in the butt for a couple weeks. All right. I'll be back with a couple news stories. Again, not a whole lot. After a quick break from one of our fine network sponsors who I have no idea who they are. All right, this takes us down to the lead story today. A new legal issue. 2 cruise passengers were busted for possession of a huge cache of cigarettes after disembarking their cruise ship in California. U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers discovered 749 cartons of cigarettes at the Los Angeles Long Beach seaport. The 150,000 cigarettes were found hidden in 10 pieces of luggage that 2 female cruise guests were carrying. The 2 women produced receipts for the purchase, but due to the volume of cigarettes, import permits from the U.S. Alcohol, Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau are required. The CBP said the quantity of this size is considered for commercial, not personal use. The importation of tobacco products is highly regulated from both tax and consumer safety perspectives, said Cheryl M. Davies, CBP Director of Field Operations in Los Angeles. Under U.S. Customs rule, cruise passengers can bring back 1 carton of cigarettes per adult for personal use, duty-free if they've been outside the country for at least 48 hours. Larger quantities must be declared and may be subject to import taxes. If the amount is considered commercial, typically anything far beyond personal use, the passenger must also obtain a special permit from Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau. In this case, officials said the 749 cartons exceeded the legal limit, triggering seizure and destruction. So not only did these people lose the money to buy the cigarettes, they lost the cigarettes and still have legal issues to deal with. Cruise around the world with the Will Model C2. That's the chair that I use. Our chairs will easily fit through accessible cabin doors and can navigate those tight spaces and crowded places. To see if Will may be right for you, click on the link below to schedule a test drive. Just tell them to use code Chillie for all your mobility needs. That's scootaroundstore.com. For several days this week, a massive cruise ship capable of carrying 5,000 passengers has been going nowhere, docked in Portland, Maine. The U.S. Coast Guard has confirmed that the MSC Meraviglia is in Portland to undergo important mechanical work, specifically involving its propeller blades. Dive teams are currently still working underwater to fix or replace the propeller blades, and the Coast Guard has been warning small boats to avoid the area while the repair work is being done. Because of this problem, the ship has had to cancel its last trip. The MSC vessel was supposed to sail from New York to Port Canaveral, Nassau, and Ocean Cay, but the mechanical issue meant the ship couldn't travel fast enough. The ship is expected to remain in Portland for necessary repairs at least through the end of day today. My hat's off to MSC. They managed to do that without using the word Azabod. Sound familiar, folks? Just saying. Crew members on board Carnival Paradise are heroes after rescuing 5 refugees from a small raft in the middle of a 6-night Western Caribbean voyage. After visiting Key West the previous day, the vessel was making her way to Montego Bay, Jamaica on May the 14th when a small makeshift craft was spotted in distress near the coast of Cuba. It's unclear what exactly went wrong for the group and how long they may have been stranded, but the raft-type boat was clearly too crowded to be operating safely. Members of the 920-strong crew quickly sprung into action and boarded a lifeboat to rendezvous with the raft, which held approximately 15 refugees. 5 members of the stranded group were brought on board the 2,100-guest ship, while the remaining 10 stayed behind. The crew members still left the remaining men with food, water, and fuel and notified the U.S. Coast Guard about the situation. The 1,000-mile-long atmospheric river, which has brought downpours to numerous southern states and multiple tornado threats, moved toward Florida and the Bahamas earlier this week. Miami actually broke its daily rainfall record after getting 4.35 inches of rain on May the 12th, surpassing the previous record set way back in 1943. Throughout the day, there were numerous flash floods that affected low-lying areas in Miami-Dade County. Despite this, Carnival Conquest departed from Miami that afternoon, making its way to Carnival's private island, Half Moon Cay. However, this put the ship directly in the path of the bad weather. While the ship experienced the harsh weather while departing on Monday and while at sea on Tuesday, when it arrived at Half Moon Cay on Wednesday, it was finally sunny. Still, there was a good bit of flooding on board the ship from all the rain. A second man was arrested for the death of a 60-year-old British man on the MSC Virtuosa during its May 3rd voyage. The man was identified as a 56-year-old from Richmond, London. The man's name was not released by authorities. The first man arrested was a 57-year-old man from Exeter. Both men were released on bail. The victim has been identified as James Measham, a grandfather and former stunt performer. As previously reported, the tragedy occurred just 2 hours into the ship's voyage, and it was reported that there was heavy drinking among the passengers. The victim and the first man arrested were reportedly part of the same group going on the cruise. An elderly Chilean couple aged 77 and 87 has been formally charged by Italian authorities after allegedly stealing a €1,000 ring from a jewelry store in Messina before boarding the cruise ship Celebrity Constellation bound for Naples. According to police, last Sunday, the couple entered a local jewelry shop and asked to try on a high-value ring. Taking advantage of the distraction by the shop owner, they allegedly pocketed the item and quietly left the store. It wasn't until later that afternoon that the shopkeeper noticed the ring was missing and alerted local law enforcement, triggering an investigation. Officers from both the Messina Police Patrol units and the Maritime Border Police collaborated to review surveillance footage and gather information about the suspects. The investigation led police to identify the elderly pair as cruise passengers who had already embarked on the Celebrity Constellation and sailing en route to Naples. Authorities issued an alert to the border police in Naples, who coordinated a response upon the ship's arrival. When the couple arrived in Naples, Officers carried out a search and found the missing ring among their personal belongings. The couple was subsequently reported to the judicial authorities for theft. An 86-year-old stealing a ring? What's this world coming to?
Experience Alaska at an affordable rate. VR1 balconies are only $1,289, including taxes and port charges. MSC Poesia sells from Seattle, May 25th, 2026. Book now. Call 434-258-9264 or go to bit.ly/Poesia Alaska 1.
All right, that's going to put an end to the news portion of today's show. Again, this is three shows in a row that there hadn't been a whole lot of news. Well, I can't do anything to control that. All right, let's go see who's in the chat room fussing at me today. I'm sure I've done something wrong other than whoever had that split screen. Hot Air Tom's with us. There's Mike. Says good morning to everybody. Katie's with us. Are you feeling better, Tom? Tom says not really. Well, at least I'm feeling a little better. That's a positive sign from this end. Katie says good morning and happy Friday to everyone. There's Amy. Good morning, Amy. Gary Older Than Dirt's with us. Hi, Gary. Plus, New Jersey transit trains have stopped due to a strike. Yeah, we got a little strike going on there. I debated whether to talk about that today or not. Elizabeth is with us. Buenos dias, Chillie and gang. Greetings from hot and sunny Playa del Carmen. We'll be heading out for some sunshine after the show. Ooh, and I've been called back to work early. Eek. Uh-oh. All right, so you got to go back to work. When do you leave? Steve's with us from Kentucky. Hi, Steve. Bob's here. Good morning, Bob. Tom says, interesting you have a split screen and the cat is looking for the phone. I don't know why I had a split. I don't know how the split. Yeah. I don't know how it got there. Obviously, I had to hit a button wrong. I mean, I admit I did it. I just don't know what I did. Thanks for removing the second screen. No problem, Mike. As soon as I saw it, I knew I'd screwed up somewhere. There's Todd. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Todd. I can't figure out how they got that many cartons of cigarettes on the ship when everything is scanned when we reboard. Yeah, I thought about that too. I mean, how in the well, number one, 2 women carrying 10 pieces of luggage? That's a bit funky. And I don't know. I would think those cartons of cigarettes would show on the scans. I don't know that for a fact. So where did I take the picture with the donkey? Yeah, that was my hot date, Tom, in St. Thomas. I was sitting up on top of the mountain in St. Thomas. I was one of the, a few excursions that was actually wheelchair accessible. They had a bus that I could get the chair on. When they stopped, like there where the donkey was, the guy would let everybody else off the bus and he'd come back and let me off, to take me down. It was great. I would like to see more people like that. I started to talk about that this morning as well because I'm hopefully this weekend I can do a piece on it. So here's what I discovered. Well, partially me, partially Hot Air Tom. It was a collective effort that basically we found out about while we were in Europe. There are places where, like their hop on, hop off tours that are wheelchair accessible. There are also places where the cruise lines, like for instance, if the dock is in uh, an industrial area that's just not suitable for a lot of people walking, and so they basically want you out of there to the area where the tourists go. There are several times where the cruise lines will use shuttle buses from the ship to into the town. All right. If it's not suitable for walking or very unsuitable. Okay. And they advertise those as accessible transportation. So there's two ways that someone in a chair or a scooter, can use accessible transportation. That's terrific. Here's the catch. You need to check and see how many of the buses are accessible. Prime example, whatever town we were in Italy, we took the accessible bus in, which we happened to catch one and got straight on it and took it into the little town, which was only about a 10-minute bus ride. We got into town. We actually went to Hot Air Tom, I believe, had to go to a bank, and he made a stop for me. And then we went to a nice little restaurant and had a nice lunch. It was a beautiful day. It worked out great. And there were, I believe it was 6 buses that were used by the cruise line to shuttle passengers back and forth. Okay. Now we know one of the buses it was bus number 4, as a matter of fact, was accessible. 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 were not accessible. So I had to wait for bus number 4 to come back around and for someone in line for a chair or a scooter, because there's only one place on the bus, for my turn. So we stood there and waited. A bus came. There was a person in front of me on a scooter. They took that pace, so we had to wait all the way through all 6 buses coming and going until 4 got there again, and we got on it to come back. Same thing happened with one of the hop on, hop off tours, which I was just getting to get on the hop on, hop off tour. I believe that was in Barcelona, maybe. I can't remember which city it was in. But I sat and waited and waited and waited, and 4 or 5 buses come that are either somebody's taken the space and there's already a wheelchair or a scooter in there, or the bus didn't have it, wasn't accessible. So that day I ended up, finally I had to go back to the ship and never made it on the hop on, hop off tour because one came where the accessible bus was empty. So you got to be careful about those things, folks, and don't, there's nothing you can do about it. Obviously, if someone's in line before you, they get to go first. And I have no problem with that. It's just that they need more actual accessible buses in a lot of these cities, especially in Europe, I found. So I'm just pointing that out, folks. That's like, yeah, they're helping you out, but then they cut you off at the knees when they don't give you enough accessible buses so that everybody's comfortably handling it. Now, on the opposite side of that, the next morning or whatever, the next day came that Hot Air Tom and I were. That's when we were in Barcelona, and we happened to get out early in the morning. And when it opened, and we're the first, I was the first chair to get on the bus, and we both got on the bus. Hot Air Tom went upstairs where he could see better, and I had my little space with my chair, and we did the whole loop with the hop on, hop off. We did not get off and back on. There again, you do that, and you go to a busy place like the cathedral. Okay, and there could be 20, 30 people standing in line, and more likely than not, they're going to be somebody in line waiting with a chair or a scooter. So just a few things that I picked up on the actual use of buses and how they can help, but how you can also get kind of screwed with it as well. So, all right, let's see. Where was I? Elizabeth says it's mostly older people who steal from us on board. I have so many stories. Wow, I would never have guessed that it would be us old folks that are. I would have thought it would have been young kids trying to grab something. Wow, that's good to know, Elizabeth. We need to talk about that sometime. All right, Gretchen's with us up in Ohio. That's Roger from Jacksonville. How are you from Galax? By the way, I did not have a chance to check out your cruise, Roger. I'm going to do that. I've got a note to check on it. What is Galax? I was wondering the same thing, Tom. We could do a whole segment on the thievery of oldies over the year. Okay. Well, we can do that. That would be wonderful. All right, that's going to put an end to today's show, guys. As always, thanks for being with me. As you can tell, I'm feeling better. You had that one slight little cough early on, but I have not had a coughing spell, which is a good thing. Now we'll see how I do in the dentist chair today. But no matter what, it can't be that bad. All right, that's going to put a wrap up today. Thanks for being here, guys. Don't forget, smash that thumbs up button. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. It doesn't cost you anything. That helps the channel out a lot. In the meantime, y'all have a great weekend. And I'll be back. I could be back sometime this weekend if anything happens, or I'll be back on Monday. In the meantime, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. You guys have a great Friday and a fabulous weekend, and I'll see everybody back here on Monday.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry, so if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.